So I was thinking about this. I want to make a ranking of the best foods to eat while watching a game. Try to be clear. These are you know football, basketball, baseball, probably hockey. I'm not a big hockey guy, so I can't really speak to hockey. These aren't really soccer foods. I don't think. I think most of these work either yourself or with a group of people. But let's get into it. First of all, I want to start out with five bad foods. First one, this might be controversial: pizza. And you'll kind of get why in a moment. But I think that the problem with pizza is that what you really want in a game watching food is a food that for the first 5-10 minutes you can eat enough of it that you get reasonably full, but you're also able to eat it for the rest of the game as well. Like you're able to take like a bite every 5, 10, 15 minutes, something along those lines, or like a bite or two. The problem with pizza is that each slice is a commitment, right? So when you're so ideally, let's say like you and like two or three other people order like one or two pizzas, right? So through the first 5-10 minutes of the game, you're eating probably 1 to 2 slices, right? But then from there, if you want to get a slice, you're getting a slice, and then what? You're just gonna eat like 2 bites of that slice, or like 3 bites of that slice, and just have it sit there for 5-10 minutes. Like you feel like an idiot, right? So I think that each bite is a little bit too big of a commitment for pizza. That being said, if you order pizza, I won't judge you. If anything, I'll be impressed. I'll be impressed if you eat pizza during the game. The same thing applies to a burger. I think that like burgers are just a type of food that like you need to eat in a short time span. Like I mean obviously I've eaten a burger where like I've eaten like 80% of it and then like nibbled on the other 20% or something. But like that's just one, it's kind of an emasculating way to eat a burger, and then two is just not an optimal way of eating a burger. I mean, everyone who's eating a burger knows that most burgers, not most, I mean, there are a good amount that don't, but like most burgers start to fall apart at some point, and like you're really racing as the clock to finish that burger in like a jointed, cohesive way. So like you can't really do that whole again like I think the best game foods are the ones where you eat enough in the first 5 to 10 minutes to feel full, and then you nibble on it for the rest of the game. I think a burger you're finishing that in the first 10 minutes, and then you're ending up with not really that much to eat. That being said, um, you can put sliders on this list, and I'll actually now that I'm saying this, I'm going to include sliders in like another thing that I put in, because I think it kind of like fits in that. Number three, creme brulee. You really shouldn't be eating creme brulee during a game. If you ever eaten creme brulee during a game, um, I will judge you for that. I will judge you for that. It's just not the ideal. I think there's a scourge of people eating creme brulee during football games that we really need to address as a society. Similarly, chili. I mean, I can see the argument for chili. Like you don't have to put comments talking about how good chili is, talking about how it's the perfect. Hey, I'm gonna eat. I'll get reasonably full for 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna eat a little bit for the rest of the game. That applies. Also, very high meat density food, which pairs with games very well. You want to eat a very meat focused food while you watch a game. All these are true. The problem with chili is that um, I just don't feel like you should really be eating soup during a game. Just the fact that it's a soup disqualifies it. Of all the soups, it is the best one. Like if you're eating like a tomato soup during a game, I'm going to judge you for that. I'm not going to judge you so much for chili, but with chili, I just feel weird eating a soup during a game. It's just not like a soup is not a game eating experience food. Number five, pretzels. To be honest, I just kind of put it on this list because I believe every list needs to have 3 to 5 items on it, and I really wanted to include the creme brulee joke, so I had to put pretzels on here as well. But like, I mean, I'm not going to judge you too hard for eating pretzels. It's just not like a thing. I mean, if you went and like ordered like proper German pretzels with mustard, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'll take it back. I'll let you eat that during the game. So let's go through this list. Five is nachos. Um, I mean, you can make an argument that nachos get soggy, but like, first of all, like if these are homemade nachos, like you should have refill chips at the ready, right? Like what you want to do is you want to make the plate. It really shouldn't be a plate like this. It should be like a tub of nachos, right? And then have more tortilla chips, and then during the game, pour the tortilla chips in and get more nachos, right? That's obviously what you're doing. Um, if you're not, then like you know you probably have some serious brain problems. But um, nachos are really like a great food for that reason. Is that you can get actually kind of full of nachos, and then it's a perfect eat a little bit for the rest of the game type experience. So, not nachos are good on this list. Number four, and like you might think that this is a repeat of something that we're gonna go on later, but fried chicken and sliders. Just, just because these two foods seem like they're in the same category, even though they're very different. But like, you know, a slider, I think is um, a good food because you are able to have that eating, across the game. But uh, f- fried chicken nuggets, I'm talking about things like Chick-fil-A. I'm talking about things like Popeyes. Like these are good game watching foods. Because again, like if you order like, you know, um, like a bucket for like a group of three people, and you have like 12 strips and like two orders of fries. Again, 12 strips, three people, 4 strips per person. You're probably eating 2 strips at the get go, eating some fries, and then the rest of the game you can eat a little bit of the strips, for the rest of the game. You eat half the strip, have it sitting there, not really feel emasculated or you're missing out on something that you have half a strip there. Like it's fine. You'll finish it later. So that's why I put fried chicken nuggets and slider share. Hot dogs might seem a little counterintuitive, but um, like again, I think if you roll up to a friend's place and he has like a whole thing of hot dogs and a bunch of buns and like ketchup, mustard, whatever your toppings are. I'm a straight ketchup guy. I'm not married to this opinion. I'm not going to advocate for it. It's just my personal preference. But I think that if you roll up to that experience, like you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna eat like one or two hot dogs, and then pace myself with maybe a hot dog or two for the rest of the game afterwards. I'm gonna feel reasonably full at the end of this game, and I'm gonna be able to have this good experience. And again, hot dogs are very meat focused, so you know they're they're good for this. Um, this might seem kind of out of left field, but I think Philly cheesesteak and or a meatball sub is perfect. Like if you had like if you ordered Philly cheesesteaks for a game and ate like one or two, like that is a good game watching experience because as I said, you'll get full at first, but then like the Philly cheesesteak versus I think for watching a game, a Philly cheesesteak is kind of like if I were to hypothesize about like why the Philly cheesesteak was invented, it would be because people wanted to eat a burger for a game, and they understood the inherent challenges of the burger for the game, so they created the Philly cheesesteak to be a burger that you can eat during a game. Because the Philly cheesesteak is perfect in terms of like, I mean, a Philly cheesesteak is just a burger in another form. I mean, we all know this, right? But like, you have it sitting there and you just like take a bite, throughout the game. That's that's a great experience. And I mean, I think meatball sub. I'm always an advocate for meatball subs. I think that we as a society don't eat enough meatball subs. I would place a lot of our problems as a society for the lack of meatball subs that we're eating as a people. Um, so yeah, I'll put the meatball sub on this list. Because I think it's very similar to a Philly cheesesteak in this capacity. Uh, I'd kind of put a meatball sub maybe a little bit above a Philly cheesesteak personally, just because I think that what you could do, like if you're really thinking on like a 3D chess level, what you could do is, I mean, I guess you could do this with Philly cheesesteak as well. Is like if you had like a pot of meatballs and you had two different sizes of bread, and so you had like the large bread for the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then you kind of made yourself Philly cheesesteak or meatball sub sliders for the rest of the game. Now that is planning on another level. That is like you probably like if I was a Harvard admissions person and I read an essay about how you did that for your for the Super Bowl, like for your friends, like if you wrote an essay about how you had different size breads for the Philly cheesesteaks for the Super Bowl for your friends, like I wouldn't even admit you into Harvard. I would just give you a diploma. You know what I mean? Like why waste your time in this prestigious institution when you clearly already know everything that you need to know in your life, and you've already far surpassed anybody that has ever attended this college. Like if you look at the achievements of like Mark Zuckerberg versus the guy who ordered different size breads for the Philly cheesesteaks at the Super Bowl, it's just not comparable. Like the Super Bowl guy's obviously, at the very least, way smarter and has obviously added a lot more to humanity. Um, maybe doesn't have as much money, but like profits are never appreciated in their own time. You know what I mean? I just wanted to throw in an honorable mention here. So I put this here because I went to a Real Madrid game when I was in Madrid, and like every stadium has its own like different foods that it serves. And by the way, just one thing, kind of backtracking my anti-soup thing from earlier. If you go to a geography that is heavily associated with a soup, like if you go to a part of the South that is like known for its chili, I mean, there's a lot of parts of the South that are known for their chili, and you eat chili at a game, like that's 100%. Like obviously you have to do that at that point. Like if they're serving like clam chowder at a Red Sox game, like I'm completely fine with you eating that because it's like part of the culture. You know what I mean? Like you have to, right? That being said, like so. One thing that is really big in Madrid is they call it jamon iberica, which is basically just like prosciutto. And they serve prosciutto sandwiches at the Madrid game. And so I just want to put an honorable mention because that is one of the best stadium foods that I've ever had. By the way, it was a prosciutto sandwich at a game. I think it was like $5. And like I was eating, I was like, a prosciutto sandwich at like a restaurant in America will cost you at least 10, 15, $20. I've been away from America for 2 years. I don't really know the prices anymore, but like it'll at least, I mean with inflation, right? But like, it'll at least cost you 10, $15 for a prosciutto sandwich at like a restaurant or like a lunch spot. This was a prosciutto sandwich at a game that cost like $5, so it was great. Do I think you should be eating prosciutto sandwiches while watching football games? No. Like, obviously not. But if you're watching a Real Madrid game, or you are at a Real Madrid stadium, like, it might be one of the better culinary experiences. As we know from my sandwich rankings, I put this really high up there. Anyway, going on. Number one, I think we all kind of saw this coming, is wings. Wings are really good at, filling you up first, and then you eat them later. If you were to invite like 4 or 5 people, like it's really simple to like add more wings. You just be like, I'm gonna order 40 wings or 50 wings or something like that, right? It's really good for head counts, and like how head counts oscillate. The only thing that I think is close to that on the list would be, in terms of ordering, would be pizza. But even pizza, like, if you have an influx of 2 or 3 people, that can screw up an entire pizza order. You know what I mean? If you have an influx, let's say you're expecting 5 people and you order 60 wings, and then 2 more people show up. Like, 9 wings is still a reasonable amount of food for a sporting event. You know what I mean? Like, so that is a 40% increase of the amount of people, and you're still in that boundary of good amount of wings. So that I think alone gives wings like one of the top spots. But again, like it's a very manly food to eat. Like you're like tearing into this food, and that's why I put it separate from tenders and wings. Like on their face they seem like similar foods, but everybody knows they're very different types of foods. But like you're tearing into this food. The flavor profile is good for sports. Um, and as I said earlier, like it is one of the perfect pacing foods for, let's say you got 10 wings, eat three, eat four, and then eat like one or two every 5 to 10 minutes for the rest of the game. Like done, easy. It's also like a great, like I think that like one thing that also makes wings really high up on this list versus something like a Philly cheesesteak or a hot dog or fried chicken nuggets or even nachos is that like it is one of the best like restaurant things to get. So like if you and three friends are sitting at a counter at a bar and you're like, what should we get? Like the game is on. Obviously, wings is the answer. So yeah, that's why wings for me is a clear number one on this list.